Welcome to another video, and this one is about 10 things serious pianists should do every day. Now here's why I'm thinking about this. It's summer here, and May actually, and I've got a new group of piano majors coming in the fall, and I've been in touch with them. I've heard them audition and all of that, and I know when they get here I'm going to feel like a strong motivation to get them up to speed with college level study. And if I can communicate with them before they get here about some things they should be doing on a daily basis or a regular basis, they arrive on campus much more ready to take on the seriousness of college level study. So that's where this video is coming from. This is for my new students. Hi. These are things you should do every day. And I often find young students don't do these things. And they're surprised that their progress is not any better. I meet high school age pianists a lot who've had, maybe 10 years of study and not a whole heck of a lot to show for it. I'm always kind of shocked. What have you been doing for 10 years? Anyway, that's just me. So here are my 10 things that serious pianists should do every day. Number one is listen and study scores. We now have at our disposal more recorded stuff and greater ease of getting it than any other time in history. You've got all of YouTube and Spotify, etc., etc. You can take your earbuds with you everywhere you go. You've got IMSLP, you've got libraries. I mean, it's so easy to get scores and recordings. And you think about young J.S. Bach copying stuff by moonlight that he stole from his older brother's cabinet because his brother didn't want him to see it. Unroll the music and copy it by moonlight. Think what he could have done with the resources we have. There's a story that Vladimir Horowitz, whom, if you don't know, this is proving my point exactly. What are you doing with your time if you don't know who Horowitz was? So anyway, Horowitz, whenever he would go and learn anything, say a sonata of Schubert, he would listen to and study the scores of almost everything Schubert wrote. He'd go listen to the symphonies and the masses and the chamber music and the art songs, and then he would come to this one piece that he was going to play. Now, I always thought this sounded ridiculously overachieving until listening to Mozart symphonies unlocked for me what was going on in Mozart piano sonatas. I never understood the piano sonatas until I heard the symphonies, and then I realized all these Albertis and little rickety sounding piano patterns were shorthand for the string section, for the accompaniments, and that unlocked a lot for me. So listen and study scores. Are you playing one piece by Chopin? Okay. Do you know the Chopin concertos? Do you know there's some chamber music by Chopin? Do you know the etudes and the sonatas, etc.? Are you playing one piece by Rachmaninoff? Do you know the choral music of Rachmaninoff? You don't understand Rachmaninoff's piano writing if you don't know his choral music. I promise you that it will change your perception of his piano music when you listen to the Vespers and other choral pieces like this. The symphonies, and so on. So listen and study scores in a broad orbit around whatever you are playing, and it will change your perception. Second, sight read every day. Now, when I grew up, I perceived that people had either this gift or that gift. And one gift was memorizing, and the other gift was sight reading. And I thought that I was a natural memorizer and not naturally gifted at sight reading. Well, later on, I came to understand that I was good at memorizing because I was doing it all the time. And I was bad at sight reading because I wasn't doing it all the time. It's pretty simple. So when you are a little bit nervous about your sight reading ability, take about 20 minutes every day and read through easy music, like the hymnal from church, or the little teddy bear family picnic book by the one with the colorful cartoons in it. Read through that stuff Don't stop, don't fix anything, stay in rhythm, do that 20 minutes a day. Read about music. This is our profession, this is our love. Have you read biographies of the great composers? Or just, a music history book to kind of get the context of what was going on. I just got a wonderful book as a gift recently. It's called After the Golden Age, and it's about the whole idea of the piano recital from about Franz Liszt to today. Absolutely fascinating. Much of what we take for granted as the normal traditional way of playing a recital is a very recent invention. It was fascinating to read about the history of what we do. So read about music. Go to concerts. It may be difficult where you live. There may only be a couple per year that are worth attending, but go to professional performances, not just piano, but choral and orchestra and other instruments. One of the stories I like to tell is my beloved teacher from graduate school, Raymond Hansen. His father was the piano tuner for the Chicago Symphony, and he would take little Ray to the symphony twice a week from the age of 5. He would take was the piano tuner for the Chicago Symphony, and he would take little Ray to the symphony twice a week from the age of 5 to the age of 12. And so this little kid is growing up hearing the Chicago Symphony twice a week. Who's playing with the Chicago Symphony? Oh, guys like Rachmaninoff and Harold Bauer and you name it. So by the age of 12, he had a fully formed, comprehensive like Chicago Symphony twice a week. Who's playing with the Chicago Symphony? Oh, guys like Rachmaninoff and Harold Bauer and you name it. So by the age of 12, he had a fully formed, comprehensive library of what every professional musician sounded like. Really cool. Go to concerts. Number 5, record yourself and critique. Now, I've spoken about this in other videos. I just think this one is so important. If you don't record yourself, you don't really have an accurate perception of how you sound. We have enough of a problem with narcissism in our music making. We are narcissistic, and we imagine as we're playing that we sound amazing, and maybe we don't actually. Maybe a hard look in the mirror in the cold light of day is exactly what we need. And a recording is a good way to do that, to step back and say, would I willingly listen to this player? And if not, why not? So record yourself and critique every day. The next one, guard your practice time. Get a printed schedule of your time, and in highlighter show how you are protecting those hours. Here at our school, we require 15 hours a week from our piano students, which is not very much considering the difficulty of this instrument. And with the busyness of college, protecting 15 hours from all the fun stuff there is to do on this campus is something that requires discipline and planning. So if you don't plan to protect your time, you won't. And it is absolutely futile to think about getting any good at this if you don't put in the hours. I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell's idea that he has popularized about the idea that you start getting good at something after 10,000 hours of work. What's 10,000 hours? Well, it's 5 years of 40-hour work weeks. About 5 years of doing something full-time. So you need to protect your practice time. The next one, your scales and arpeggios. I am absolutely stunned, amazed, slack-jawed when I meet aspiring young musicians who do not know their scales and arpeggios in every key. How can you call yourself a serious musician if there are tonalities of which you are afraid? Ooh, F sharp minor, D sharp minor, ooh, I don't want to go there, it's scary. You know the story of Schubert when he, this was published. The G-flat impromptu, and some publisher put it in G major instead of the original key of G-flat. And Schubert said, "What's wrong with you?" And the publisher said, "Oh, G-flat, it's too hard." And Schubert said, "If all keys are not equally comfortable for you, you are no kind of musician." And I believe that very firmly, that you need to know your scales and arpeggios and just the way all the chords work. What's the dominant chord in D sharp minor? What's the 4 chord in B major, and so on. And if you have to stop and go and sketch on paper, you're not there yet. Okay? So you really need to work on those fundamentals and make sure that you know. It's just a matter of where's your pride? Where's your professional pride? You need to do it. Number 8, you should improvise and compose all the time. Wouldn't it be weird if you considered English your language of fluency and all you could do in English is recite things other people had written out word for word? You would not consider yourself fluent. Well, in music, if all you can do is recite things other people have written out note for note, you are not fluent in music. And the way to get more fluent in music is to improvise and to compose. and as you may know, I'm very much involved in improvisation and I promote it strongly. I think every pianist should be improvising and occasionally writing small pieces. You know, are you working on, say, some Chopin mazurkas? Why not compose your own mazurka just to see how it works? That would be a fantastic exercise. Number 9, I already alluded to this, but what are your weaknesses musically? Go straight at your weaknesses. If it's sight reading, attack that every day. If it's memorizing, attack that. If it's awareness of music of the 17th or 18th or 19th centuries, go attack that. If it's some technical issue that you have, attack that every day. I've been spending time today, I'm working on fugue improvisation, and I've noticed that I don't like to improvise fugue expositions in D sharp minor. I'm not very happy when I do that. So I'm spending my entire day making myself improvise fugue expositions in D sharp minor on various themes. It's torture. And finally, discuss music with other musicians. Find other people your age, similar stage in life, and get together and listen to music and play it for each other and talk about it so that you can help fuel each other's interests and strengthen your determination to improve. So these are things that you should be doing if you want to be a serious musician. These are the things my incoming students should be doing. Of course, working on your repertoire, and for each of you who's coming this fall, I want to hear you play something ready to go, your first lesson in August. We'll see you then.
paintings in a museum, the ones that cover an entire wall. If you get really close, you will notice a lot of details. A hand, a foot, a cloud, an ornament on the wall. However, once you take a few steps back, all those little details fall into place and form the bigger picture. And suddenly everything makes sense. The same can be said about our piano progress. On the days when your productivity
Так наоборот. А, так, я не понял. Нет, наоборот, предлагаю. Евгений Маратович. Не умею, но раскрыл. Нет, наоборот. Разделики. Мужлан, снова мужлан. Нас подарок. Юмора. Да нет, их нет, наоборот. А, он так не есть. Ничего, хоть нормально. Все. Жури. Будет. Да, люди не меняшки. Не можешь, А что делать? Что делаешь? Что ты жопа? Так наоборот. Радует. Они не знаю, что окей. Ой, блин. Не ладно. Бубизон. Нет. Так надо, что будет тогда? Зачем наоборот? Вот так, да, наоборот. И что будет? Концертмейстер. Ганганго. Да, куда? Поздравление нашего. Ну тогда, ты же дурак, шизик просто. Можно же писать, если шизоман. Танго. Нет, я. Бам. Да. Нахуй. Что мне на себя? Че я себя не видел, что ли? Что мне на себя смотреть-то? Нет, уж, наверное. Сборником снимался, да, это я, да ладно, шутил. Я не знаю. Откуда я знаю? Что мне на меня себя смотреть? Давайте дальше. Попробуй. Так надо. Нет, дорожная, да. Нет, наоборот. Тебя не видят, просто нет, наверное, так, да. Десятую школу. Это слушай. Я сначала на месте решился. Ну, это имеется в виду, что ты не умеешь ничего всего. Не умеешь, никто не понимает, что делаешь. Я помню. Так? Добись. Добияndo. Добарando. Нормал. Нормал. Велика. Нет, да, да, да. Нет, давай, ставь везде. Выбирай и ставь. Нет, бомжара тебе. Не знаю, да. Наоборот, наоборот. Присяда говорит. Справку. Давайте бомжарного. Справку бомжа. Бомжество бомжа. Нет. Нет, нет, нет. Наоборот. Нет, наоборот, смеяться. Это присяда. Нет. Не надо. Сбрабго. Нет, наоборот. Я не знал, что там надо. Для бомжар. Бомжаров. Знаешь, такую штучку. Бомжаром. Опа. Стоп. Опа. Что такое? Добрался, ты уже запиши. Да брось уже писать все это, вот она и говорит. Никто не реагирует на тебя, думаю, да, на вот. Ты не пишешь, ты. Отметку ты пишешь просто. В отметку мне? А я в отметку пишу. Нет, что-то надо, нет. Нет, что-то нет. Нет, вот это просто, ну нет, ну да, посмешка, что ты смеялся, над тобой смеялись, что больно надо. Забрал ученые справки, и еще штучка такая есть. С божьей просто есть такая штучка, вот такая вот круглая штучка. Наоборот, забрал год. Она сбравочная, если что. Скоро забрал год. У нас сбравается. Кто здесь? Тупой вообще. Да, да, да. Наоборот, ужасно выглядит, как так нет, да, жалуется же здесь, не знаю, да нет, нет, ну это я говорю, это будет ужасно, да, ты их ненавидишь, ты же там, и эти штуки тоже. Да. Надо. Нет, наоборот, надо. Нет, наоборот, что-то злой, что ли, какой-то. Ну, вот это истина. Не хочешь? Нет, зачем так это делаешь-то? Вот это и есть самое, да. Вот это и есть самое, да. Я же знаю, что надо. зачем это все? Тебе ты зачем ты не нужно? Видишь себе и себе, ты зачем надо показывать себя, да? Блин. Сидим просто на это народ, наоборот. Ладно, да, понятно. Санкции на почту, все, да. Нет, злой просто все там. Злой ты. Я злой просто все, да. Что еще мне злой? Не знаю. Не надо убрать все это, убирайся и все. Вот это видите. Плохо все это, потому что у всех уже эти люди все давно. Всех уже получили. Изображение твои лица. А вот одна рука. Она видишь, слишком красивая, которая. Ну ладно. Я понял, буду ждать. Как это клуб называется? Так не это, что ли? ты этому себе только нравишься. Все остальные в восторге. Нет уж, наверное, ладно. Нет, не понимаю. Любит меня, что ли? Любит меня, не любит, что ли, тебя? Любит, что ли, как Ой, опять целый день, там, все могут. потом вверх. Вот здесь.
Three steps. Down, sideways, up, down, sideways, up, down, sideways, up, down. And it looks this way. Down, sideways, up, down, sideways, up, down, sideways. Hi, it's Emma, and today I felt like talking about wrist movements, kind of under magnifying glass, so you could have better feeling of what I'm doing and what you could do, and also clarify a little bit about this movement, horizontal and vertical movement of the wrist, which you probably heard about many times. So if you follow me, you probably know that all the movements of our hand just basically express our imagination. So that's why it explains why our wrist would move horizontally to the right or to the left if we imagine notes according to the melody pattern. This way. Now, when I just started with this idea, I started with this idea a long time ago, and then sharing this idea about 3 years ago here on my YouTube channel, I really got many questions regarding what about vertical wrist movement, what about this beautiful breathing movement of the wrist. And I think I never really showed this in details and explain in depth when it comes to play and how exactly to feel it. So I guess now it's time to do this. So horizontal movement of the wrist represents our sound imagination. And vertical movement, this more like circular movement of the wrist, is connected to our breathing. And again, if you follow me, you know that we are breathing energetically and also with our muscles, and it's kind of feeling in your diaphragm, I guess. Trying to find the right words for this, but you got the idea. It's mostly when you play and you feel the air in your playing. And this is connected to our internal singing with feeling of body weight, of free body energy. I like to call it this way. So when we internally sing, intonating while playing, we always internally sing with glissando and resistance. Okay, it's good. Now when we're going to engage the free energy of our body, and we're going to sing with weight, and engage it in our playing, this is where we need to move our wrist this way to be able to actually express what we feel. Again, little note, if you have still questions about what is intonation and weight, then I will include the links in the description below, because I'm not planning to talk about this in this video. So now let me tell you this. When my students for the very first time, try to play with imagination and intonation with vertical horizontal line, and they're trying to express the weight, then if they start playing this way, even if they gather weight and then they bring hand and they start playing, even while internal singing,
the energy really stuck here. It feels like something prevents the body to really deliver the weight to the instrument. So in this case, you need to make this movement of your wrist. Now, let me show you exactly step by step, basically how it looks like. You imagine the note, you play. Imagine note with movement, you play. Now, while internal singing with feeling of weight and imagining next note with glissando movement, you start moving this way your wrist. Then you're going down, and again, you imagine note and you move wrist the same way. So basically it's 3 steps. Down, sideways, up, down. Sideways, up, down. Steps. Down, sideways, up, down. Sideways, up, down. Sideways, up, down. And it looks this way. Down, sideways, up, down, sideways, up, down, sideways. So this is what really helps everyone to really feel weight while playing. Now, little note for those who are asking, okay, I'm supposed to play in the fast tempo. So let's see what's going to happen with our movements when we're going to start playing faster. So the movement basically gets smaller, I think. Let's try even faster. So what you can see right now is simple, smooth movement of my wrist sideways. But what is actually happening that this air, this breathing, is remaining somewhere in sensations over here in my wrist, and that also helps my wrist be flexible. And it's mostly like I'm playing with air in my wrist. That would be a good title for this video. Air in your wrist. Okay, probably I will come up with something else. So that's the point. When you play slow, you have to make this movement. When you play faster, it goes smaller and smaller till just reaches this correct sensation in our muscles. And that will be it about horizontal and vertical movements of our wrist. See you in the next video. Bye bye.
bringing you this demonstration on legato and staccato touch that complements my article in Pianist magazine, issue number 68. I'm going to be talking about 3 different types of legato touch, but let me begin by demonstrating 4 different types of staccato touch. Now, staccato comes from the word staccare, which is the Italian word meaning to separate. It doesn't mean to play short, it just means to separate. So if I demonstrate now using a 5-finger position, I could play very short with a lot of separation, or I could play with barely any separation. They're both technically staccato. I'd like to begin by talking about a finger staccato, which is sometimes called a staccatissimo. Now, let me demonstrate using the beginning of Mendelssohn's E minor scherzo. And I'm going to play it first of all slowly to you so that you can see what I'm doing at the keyboard. Now, my arm remains passive and still, and my fingertip remains very active. What I'm doing is I'm pulling the fingertip toward the palm of my hand. This produces a very sharp, very short staccato. Now let me show you that. That's a finger staccato. Now let me move on to a wrist staccato. Now in a wrist staccato we want to keep the wrist bouncy, and we need to keep the fingers somewhat firm, otherwise I'm going to flop around over the keyboard and produce an unfocused sound. Now we can use a wrist staccato in light passages, sometimes light chords, or in this example from Delibes, the passe-pied which we have in the magazine, this is a left hand bouncy. Let me just show you this.
Looking for that perfect gift for someone? With your own 2 hands. When you give a gift you make yourself, it can be anything. Custom and personalized and the perfect fit, even when it's not a perfect fit. When you make a gift for someone else, something one of a kind, never before seen and not sold in stores, it's just different. When you put your time and talent and effort and love into a gift, it shows. So make something warm and fuzzy. And make something that reminds them of you. When you do, you'll make someone known. Discover what you can make with Skillshare.
Thanks for checking out GuitarTricks.com recently. Quick question, want a free guitar? Yeah, you heard me right. Right now is the best time to join Guitar Tricks. For a short time, when you sign up for our annual membership on this ad to see if we still have guitars left, because once we run out, the deal ends. This won't last very long. Our award-winning lessons have helped over 3 million people learn guitar since we started 20 years ago. The reason is simple. We have the easiest beginner guitar course ever created, and lessons for the best songs ever created. The Beatles, Pink Floyd, Ed Sheeran, and AC/DC, we have songs from nearly every popular artist you can think of. One more thing, if you aren't happy with the lessons for any reason, let us know within 60 days and we will give you a full refund, and even let you keep the guitar. GuitarTricks.com is the best method to learn guitar. Click that blue button to claim your free Huntington acoustic guitar before it's too late.
Moving onwards, I'm now going to demonstrate a forearm staccato, which comes from this part of the arm. Now, if I'm doing this staccato, I need to make sure that my wrist and my fingers are firm. In piano playing, we need sometimes to have a very loose wrist, and other times the wrist needs to be firm and connected to the arm. This is such an example. I'm going to be using as my example the beginning of Schumann's Novelette in D minor, again, which you'll find in the magazine. And here is an example of four-arm staccato. And lastly, I'm going to use as my example for staccato that comes from the back and the shoulders, I'm going to be using an extract from Chopin's third scherzo, the double octave passage. Let me play you the passage first. I'm going to do it somewhat slower so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to be using my whole arm, but because I'm using my back and my shoulders, tiny, tiny movements, you might not necessarily see that much, but let me describe afterwards what it is I'm doing. I have the feeling there that I'm springy in the forearm, and I'm jumping or rebounding from one octave to the next, a little bit like a jackhammer or a pneumatic drill. The feeling is very comfortable, and because I'm using the big muscles of my upper arm and my shoulder, it's relatively effortless. Produces a big sound. Before I move on to legato touch, I'd just like to make a little comment about blending these various different types of staccatos. It's actually difficult to put them into pigeonholes and say, this is wrist staccato, this is finger, this is forearm, this is whole arm. In the final analysis, we'll be blending them, and the blend can vary from bar to bar depending on the passage, depending on the type of sound that I want. And I'm reminded always of the quotation by famous piano teacher Leonid Nikolaev, who used to say, nothing in the arm without the finger, and nothing in the finger without the arm. So in fact, we're really using everything blended. I'm going to now move on to legato. Now legato simply means to join together or to connect. So if I go back to my 5-finger position that I used before, this is a legato. Now this finger releases as I play the next finger. It's a little bit like walking. As I lift this finger, the next one plays, and I get a connection. Now that's a standard vanilla legato of the sort that every beginner is taught, and that we're using pretty much as our default touch in most piano playing. Let me show you a legatissimo touch, which is extremely useful for playing big cantabile melody, not necessarily big actually, but cantabile melodies, in other words, melodies that sing. What I do for a legatissimo, let me demonstrate it again using my 5-finger position. What I do is I don't lift this finger until after this one has sounded. Now what that does is it binds or it joins those two sounds together in such a beautifully overheld way that the beginning of the new sound, the attack of the new sound, is masked by the remnants of the previous sound. And what we get is a moment where both sounds sound together, but it doesn't strike the ear as dissonant because it doesn't last that long. Let me just show you again. Before the ear has had a chance to recognize that dissonance, I've released the previous finger. It just means that I get a lovely blended overlap. If I demonstrate that using a tiny little snippet from Chopin's D-flat Nocturne, you'll see in the right hand I'm going to be releasing my fingers late. Now that's a legatissimo touch. I'm going to end by showing you a finger pedaling or overheld touch, which we use a lot in the Baroque period, and we also use it in the classical period. Actually, we're using it in all piano playing to some extent or other. It's not marked in by the composer, it's up to us to surmise where we use it and where we don't. Before I show you how to do it, I'm just going to give you an example from Mozart's Köchel 333 Sonata in B flat, just the beginning of the first movement. Now I'm going to do it first of all with no finger pedaling, and this is not an example I'd like you to copy. It's going to be too dry. Now even though I'm playing my left hand softly, it's still spiky. The sound that I'm achieving is still spiky. So I may think, well, let me now use a little bit of pedal then, and we get an even worse effect. I'm going to demonstrate it. I can't go on because that's obviously too much. The resonance is too much, and I'm covering over all sorts of scale passages in the right hand. So the solution is to overhold the notes of the chords in the left hand. Let me show you just the left hand by itself. If you can see there, what I'm doing is I'm not lifting each finger in a normal legato way, but I'm leaving the fingers lying around at the bottom of the keys until such time as I need to use them again. And the effect is as though I had a little pedal just for that area of the keyboard. Let me show you now together. So I'm able, by using overholding or finger pedaling, to produce a carpet of harmonic sound that enables my right hand to sing and dance above it. Now that doesn't stop me using the pedal. I can use little touches of pedal as well as my finger pedal. I think that wraps up my demonstration on legato and staccato touches. Please join me again soon, where I shall be describing non-legato touches.
Миф номер один. Приготовление мяса – это лотерея. Нет. Если жарить стейки на умном гриле. Только OptiGrill Elite от Tefal измеряет толщину стейка и определяет оптимальное время приготовления до желаемой степени прожарки так, как вы любите. Tefal.
Welcome to the Pianist TV channel. Welcome to the Pianist TV channel. In this following masterclass, Graham Fitch discusses the technique of double notes, namely thirds and sixths. The filming takes place at Steinway Hall, right in the heart of London. Before Graham begins his lesson, here's a glance around Steinway's impressive showroom and Hall of Fame, as well as the all-important workshop. On this introduction, Graham plays the Gigue from Bach's French Suite No. 5 on a Model D Concert Grand, the same instrument on which he gives his lesson.
Hello, I'm Graham Fitch, and I'm bringing you this video demonstration on double notes from Steinway Hall in London. Now, this demonstration complements my article in Pianist Magazine, issue 73, on double notes. Now, by double notes, what do I mean by double notes? Traditionally, thirds and sixths. That could be a pair of notes sounded together. One of the hardest things to achieve in piano playing is synchronizing two fingers to sound exactly together, particularly as we're often having to play the weaker outer fingers stronger than the stronger inner fingers. These fingers here, 1, 2 and 3, are much more mobile, much more agile than the fourth and the fifth fingers. And yet in double note playing, we have to equalize strength and velocity of all the fingers. And this is what makes it hard to do. We often get very tangled up. One finger seems to trip over the next. So I'm going to give you a series of steps that you can, again, practice to improve the coordination and to improve your general level of skill with double notes. Now, let me start off by recommending what presumably would be the Bible of double notes. I would say it has to be the most important single resource, and that's Moskovsky School of Double Notes, Opus 64, which is in 3 parts. It starts off with fingerings for scales, and then it moves on to exercises, and then you've got specific studies for double notes. Now, I think the best way to start off with double notes is to do exercises through the keys. Let me just show you what I'm suggesting here. This is a pattern that I like. You can make any pattern you find helpful to yourself. I'm going to do first of all major, then minor, then diminished, then dominant to the next key. Major, minor, diminished, dominant. And you can modify that pattern. One thing I think you'll notice that is crucial in playing any type of double notes is to keep the wrist aligned with the fingers that are playing. This would be very tiring if I didn't. Let me show you now an example where I keep locked here.
А мы за продуктами.
Идем за продуктами, а сами отдыхать, пока Сбермаркет идет в магазин за нас. Попробуйте и вы, и получите продукты в день заказа.
Ваш заказ собран.
Сбермаркет. Ходите в магазин по-новому.
Что если к самому увлекательному кино?
Помогите.
Добавить доставку продуктов прямо до двери? Скидки на каждую поездку в такси? И любимую музыку? Сберпрайм. Единая подписка на 7 сервисов 999 рублей за год. Одна подписка, много возможностей.
Extremely tiring, really inefficient, and you wouldn't last for more than a couple of bars like that. So let me just show you now how I align the wrist and the arm with the hand. I feel that my arm is behind the pair of fingers that's playing. And you see, I can do it very fast because this is constantly mobile and supporting what I'm doing with my fingers. I think the best thing to do next would be to practice some scales in double thirds. Double thirds seem to be the first point. You can do double sixth, but I would suggest doing that later. Now, if we're taking a scale in double thirds, I'm aware that there's a point where I might not be able to join both the notes, but I'm always aiming to join at least one of the notes of the pair. Do you see that legato there? I have to lift my thumb, but I can join with the other finger. So as so often in piano playing, we need to find a good fingering, one that's efficient, and we need to stick with it. Now, the thing with double note playing is that's different from traditional, well, not traditional, but other types of playing, is that fingers have to go over other fingers. Let me give you an example of that from the Berceuse of Chopin. And you'll notice that in order to achieve it, I have to have a slightly pointed hand, pointing in the direction that I'm going to be traveling. if I kept my hand like this in a more conventional position, I wouldn't be able to make these adjustments comfortably. Now, how do we practice double notes? I'm going to show you a procedure which really will help you a lot. And we start off by thinking of them in separate parts. I can't emphasize how important that is. Not to think of it to start with as double notes, but to think of it as separate voices. So in that Chopin example, I would start off by playing probably with my right hand alone, but let me put it together with the other hand. And again, I'm using exactly the fingers that I will be using when I play with both voices. When I practice my lower voice, notice that I'm doing it softer. I'm playing it much lighter and much softer than the strong top finger that I need to project. The next thing I would suggest doing is what I call tapping. Now, I have demonstrated this before in chord playing. It's where I take the lower voice and I play the note twice. And again, I'm trying to preserve the dynamic level that I want in my finished result, which is something very light and rather soft. When I do that the other way round, I'm aiming for something that's longer and more tenuto. Do you hear there? I'm preserving the tonal properties that I'll want in my finished result. The next thing you can do is, instead of playing the thirds together, we practice broken chords, broken thirds. Let me show you that. And the other way around. Again, being very careful to stick with the fingering that you're going to use. Let me show you one other way to practice double notes. I'm going to take the sixths, the rather difficult double sixths from Chopin's F major nocturne, the central section. Let me just show you a little bit of that first. Now you'll notice there, if I show you the right hand by itself, there's a lot of activity there in, this time in sixths. Now, I don't know if you can see what's happening there. Again, I'm trying to incorporate the finger movements into bigger arm movements. Let me show you that slightly exaggeratedly. And a very good way to further gain independence of the fingers is to practice in a sextuplet subdivision at the top. Let me show you. I'll repeat that, this time doing that with the bottom pair of fingers. Do you see how mobile my wrist is? Now, just to finish off this discussion on double notes, it's very important with all of these exercises to listen for quality of sound. So that when I'm playing, let's take this extract from the D-flat nocturne again of Chopin, I'm going to